Hi there, it's Travis Ayers again, aka Mark Summers. Mark Summers was my radio name when I was a top 40 DJ in markets like New Orleans and New York City for 35 years. And I'm here with you again with another radio story. This is our third one, and tonight we're going to cover the origins of Top 40, the actual format of Top 40 radio. And I'm coming to you from my adopted hometown, just off the square in downtown Bentonville, Arkansas. And just in back of me, just down the street here, about a block away, is the world's most famous Five and Dime store. It was in 1950 that Sam Walton came to Bentonville, Arkansas with his family and opened up his very first store right here off the town square. It was in his office in that little building there, that store, that he developed the world's largest retail corporation that everybody in America knows. I guess that company is probably as famous as Coca-Cola, muscle cars, and Top 40 radio. But in 1950, there was no Top 40 radio. For that, we have to move ahead 4 years and about 200 miles up the road here to the north to Omaha, Nebraska. It was in Omaha in 1955 that a young man by the name of Todd Storrs, a World War II veteran, had just bought his very first radio station. Now in 1955, the media climate was changing quickly. Television was the new technology. Radio was no longer the big dog. Television was popular, and it was dragging the talent and all the shows that have been on radio, the live drama performances and comedy and big band performances. That was all going to television. What would radio do to compete? Well, the answer would end up being recorded music. Recorded music, meaning records, and live local DJs. Now, Todd Storrs' little radio station, he had live local DJs, but he didn't have a lot of listeners. And not many listeners will translate into not many commercials, and not many commercials translates into not much revenue coming through the door. So Todd Storrs, he had to do something quick, and he decided what he would do by going to his favorite local diner. You see, when Todd was in the diner having lunch every day, he noticed that the diner had a jukebox like most diners, and people would drop their nickel in and make their musical selection to listen to while they were having their meal. He noticed that despite the wide selection of records on that jukebox that people had to pick from, generally the same 3 or 4 songs kept playing over and over and over. Well, the light bulb went off for Todd Storrs. He went back to his radio station and he decided that he would create a format that, like Sam Walton, would super serve his customers, or in Todd's case, his listeners. And that format was, Todd would research the most popular 40 songs, the top 40 records in his market of Omaha, and he would do this through record sales, checking jukebox plays, and listener requests. And aha, Top 40 Radio was created when Todd Storrs went to the top in Omaha. Well, Todd soon looked around for another market, a bigger market, where he could expand his top 40 concepts, and that market was New Orleans, Louisiana. He found a little underperforming radio station in New Orleans called WTIX. He got more, and probably more expensive, top 40 DJs, and he put them on his radio station WTIX and inserted his top 40 format, and the station exploded. And so did Top 40 Radio across the country. You see, out in Dallas, Texas, another young man by the name of Gordon McClendon was creating his own radio monster. That radio station was KLIF. And at Cliff, Gordon McClendon hired some fast-talking DJs, and he told them, be entertaining, but keep the music flowing. What he said was, be entertaining, be informative, or be quiet. So soon, radio programmers from across the nation were flying into Dallas, flying into New Orleans to hear the sound that was making WTIX and KLIF radio so popular. And soon after that, the Top 40 format began to show up at radio stations all across America. Different versions of it, but the basic Top 40. Sometimes it was Top 30, and it would evolve pretty much in most stations to a Top 30 format. Well, Todd Storrs went on to create Storrs Broadcasting and would end up with 6 popular radio stations in 6 big markets. let me see if I can remember them. There was Kansas City, St. Louis, Oklahoma City, Minneapolis, St. Paul, New Orleans, of course, and Miami. So at the height of his popularity, tragically, Todd Storrs passed away. But the radio format that he created would go on to dominate American music taste well into the 70s. Now, personally, I never got a chance to work for Todd Storrs. He passed away 6 years before I became a disc jockey. But in 1973, I was hired by WTIX in New Orleans. And the program director at WTIX, he knew the Top 40 format in and out. That was Bob Mitchell. And I learned so much from Bob, and working there for 4 years, I knew all the ins and outs of Top 40 and how it worked and why it worked, and that served me throughout my career. So I really loved my 4 years at what they called the Mighty 690 WTIX in New Orleans. So that's a little story about, well, I guess you would say the godfather, or at least the founding father, maybe not the godfather, but the founding father of the Top 40 radio format, Todd Storrs. This is Mark Summers. I hope you've enjoyed my little bit of radio history here. And if you did, please hit that subscribe button on the bottom. That'll help us out a lot. And I'll catch you next time.